Hello and welcome to the Weeb Crew, the only anime podcast with no set intro because we don't know what we're doing.
Nobody's gonna understand why we're laughing.
No, I am psychotic.
Jesus, this is awful.
I'm joined today by my wife Mumi.
Hi, honey. How are you today?
And a Canadian immigrant we picked up on the side of the road. Pause and select.
Hey, how's it going?
Great intro. I'm proud of you.
Was I supposed to say more than that? Wait, was I supposed to say more than that?
You're supposed to be like, oh, it's such a great, yeah. You're supposed to carry this, damn it. You're supposed to be like, oh, it's such a great thing to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Why do you think we have all these guests? We don't know how to carry a podcast.
Oh, okay.
We are the most boring, milquetoast, like white bread motherfuckers on the planet.
Thank you, everybody, for having me on this wonderful podcast. Please, so I guess to give a little bit of context about myself, I'm an author of a book called Rethinking the Skinwalker, which refers to Skinwalker Ranch. I am a doctor of theology with regards to specifically the concept of paranormal cultures and paranormal subcultures, specifically in the sense of a sort of Wittgensteinian approach with regards to his framework of certainty. And I'm also I've got 4 different black belts from very different Russian schools.
That's very impressive, Reverend.
Okay, well, I was just making shit up, all right? Okay.
Oh, really? Well, could have fooled me.
I mean, we did just pick him up on the side of the road.
Okay, you can't be doxing me by giving real info. Really? You can't be doxing me here by giving real info. I'm just making stuff up. Oh, God, I wish I had a book about Skinwalker Ranch, man.
I thought that was like an actual book that you were just taking credit for a second.
Oh, there are a lot of books about Skinwalker
There
Ranch.
are a lot of books, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like if I was going to take credit for like a book, like an actual book, I'd be like, yeah, I'm actually the ghostwriter for the Mothman Prophecies. I was actually born in the 1930s.
You look great for your age.
Yeah, Keen never wrote that book. I actually wrote that book. You
were actually the one who directed that recent Jordan Peele movie, Nope. Which was that based on Skinwalker Ranch? I think it was.
Well, I haven't seen Nope, so I have no idea.
I don't even know what Nope is.
It's like a movie.
Oh, I guess that's like the first thing, right? I should probably maybe mention is that like I warned them before this thing ever happened, which is that I'm probably going to say I have no idea a lot.
You said it was a warning. It was more like just an advertisement.
Yeah, this podcast also doubles as a drinking game.
Well, let's see here. All right, let's start off with like some basic questions in this interrogation. Do you like anime?
I mean, I guess sure.
I don't know
why.
I mean, there are some anime I like. There's some I don't,
Okay.
Elaborate.
Why? Why are you like this?
There's some shows I like and some shows I don't.
All right. Well, let's start with the ones you like. All right. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off right now. Explain your 3x3 right now.
Yeah, you asked why we didn't talk about your 3x3. It's because we recorded you.
Yes, when we did our 3x3 episode.
Okay.
Yeah, we were like, hey, why do you talk about my 3x3? He's like, you didn't send it to us. And then I showed it to Mumi, and he's like, what? What the fuck is this?
Okay, which 3x3 do you have?
We're talking the bean drawing one.
Okay, well, I have multiple bean drawings. They've changed over the years. What's the current bean drawing you've got in your arsenal?
I don't know how to explain this.
This is the one I've got like loaded up right now. Is this the most current one? Or
okay, yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's I think the funniest thing is that like that 3x3 is also like a very good like anti-elitist tool because like elitists will sometimes they'll come at me and they'll be all like, tell me what your favorite anime is, and it's obviously like a power play, right? There's like, I'm going to judge this man's taste, and then they come in and they see the bean 3x3 and they're just like, what the hell is this?
I can't wrap my head around.
I was like, this is my 3x3, bro. And then they ask me what the shows are, and then I say, come on, man, you got to figure it out. It's not my problem.
Is that a fucking mushroom man there in the bottom right?
Mushroom man, hell yeah, dude. Yeah, that's my 3x3. What's confusing about it?
Why?
Well, what do you mean why?
Why are you like this?
What's
Why are
what's
you
wrong with my 3x3? Go on.
It's okay. Well, we talked like in that 3x3 episode.
Yeah.
Which for anyone listening, I guess we should address that like our audience base, our subscribers have now like grown tenfold since the last like podcast episode.
We don't need to address them.
Yeah, when this episode comes out, I'm going to retweet it on all of my social media channels. So you're going to get like 5 extra viewers that are going to come from me. So you better watch out, all right?
All right. And they better all like, comment, and subscribe if they haven't already.
Look, you got to understand, okay? The Manson family was able to get together and kill a bunch of, they were able to kill Sharon, I don't remember her last name, and just cause a massive wave of fear all throughout America.
That was only a couple people.
And that was only a couple people. I have 41,000 subscribers. Think about the damage I can do.
Even if just a handful of them,
Exactly. I just need one subscriber in a deep psychosis, and then you better watch out, all right?
Just like Soviet style like programming. So whenever they hear like the word chestnut, they're just gonna go ballistic.
Exactly.
And murder everyone in your immediate vicinity.
Exactly. That's how you get stuff done. That's how I get, you might be thinking, where do I get the books for my stuff? Do I just buy myself? No. Do I pirate? Of course not. I'd never pirate, ever. I've never pirated in my life. What I do is I reach out to publishers and I say, hi, how's it going? I run a channel called Pause and Select. It's got 41,000 subscribers. That's more than the core members of the Om Shinrikyo cult. Think about the damage I can do. Anyhow, yeah, can I get a review copy of the book?
It's like an implicit threat, but because it's like a different statement, you can't connect them.
Yeah.
Like, well, what's going to happen if I don't?
Think about how many people flew planes into the World Trade Center. Less than 41,000, that's for sure. Think about the damage I can do.
Yeah. Even with modern like TSA, we're gonna get fucking flagged immediately. Let's stop talking about planning terrorist attack.
Yeah, we thought it was something that we were gonna say is gonna get us canceled. Damn.
God damn. Oh God.
You're not gonna get canceled for making a comment about 9/11.
Oh yeah, they don't do that now.
Yeah.
We've moved past that.
At least I don't think they do that.
Elon Musk is gonna buy YouTube next, so then we can just like say whatever the fuck we want, except for criticizing him, of course, and for only $8 a month.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. So what's going on with the Twitter thing? What you pay $8 a month for a blue check mark?
I think it's 20.
So the way it's gonna work is it 20? No, I thought it was like $8. Is what he said, and the idea is like you can pay $8 for a blue check mark.
Yeah, it's $8.
Wow, Mumi, you sound really different.
What?
Sorry, no. When you just said it's $8, I was just like, wow. It's like you have a different voice.
That wasn't
No
me.
one
That was
said
him.
that. Are you?
What?
No one said anything. What?
Wait, nobody said $8?
No.
I could have sworn somebody said $8. Somebody said $8?
Literally, no one has ever said $8.
I didn't.
Oh my god! Wait,
Well, I said $8, but you like reacted as like something else.
Wait, somebody said $8. I swear to God, somebody said $8.
Well, it is $8.
Okay. Oh my god!
You pay $8 for like a blue check mark, but if you're like a prominent public figure, you then get like a different blue check mark or some shit now.
Oh, okay.
To compensate. So it's just like, well, and the idea is like, if you pay the $8 a month, if you pay the pound of flesh, your tweets or whatever are like given like priority and like search queries and replies. Which the idea is to, like combat spam and bots or something. Even though I've never seen like phishing links on Twitter before. Also, It doesn't fully remove ads; it removes half the ads.
Oh,
which I thought was hilarious.
What?
Yes, yeah, you get half of your ads removed. It's not like a YouTube Premium where they're just gone overall. No ads. No, you half the ads.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
That's
I
insane.
don't even get ads on Twitter because I don't use Twitter. So
I don't use Twitter, and I fucking use it on my computer, so I have ad block.
I use Twitter using like those old chunky App Store apps. I think I have I use like Phoenix One, which is
oh god,
which isn't supported anymore.
Yeah,
I just have it. And
is YouTube Vant still a thing, or is that discontinued? I don't.
There's
remember.
like a variation of Vanced, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No idea.
I'm one of the 5 people on planet Earth who pay for YouTube Premium.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you and me. Yeah, you and me both.
Yeah.
Even though, hey, I don't know. I use YouTube more than Spotify, so I just canceled my Spotify subscription. I just use like YouTube Music now.
It's like one of those things, right, where it's just like it ends up being a lot more useful than I thought it would have been, because yeah, you get YouTube Music with it,
yeah,
but then like it's also stuff like, it also lets you play, you know, like it's got stuff that like YouTube Advanced lets you do and whatnot, but there's also other stuff that I found really helpful, which is that like those things that you can do as long as you're logged into your YouTube Premium account, you can do it on like the Switch. Like I have it on the Switch, right?
Yeah.
Like the YouTube app. So as long as I'm logged in on my YouTube Premium account on my Switch as well, like I don't have to see ads when I'm like trying to like look for like gameplay footage and how to do something, you know?
Yeah.
So it's surprisingly handy on that point. It's one of those things where it's just like the moment I see ads on YouTube, I just see red.
Yeah, that's the thing is like Gil and I were like talking about this like the other day, is that like,
yeah, too bad he's not here.
When I see ads on YouTube, like, and like not like paid promotions like in videos or whatever, those are like fine.
Mm-hmm.
But when I see ads like before a video, or God forbid in the fucking middle, like a mid-roll ad,
oh yeah,
and even more so if I keep seeing like the same advertisement over and over and over again, it makes me want to do the opposite. It makes me want to never buy your product ever in my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because it's just like you are making me mad now. I'm associating your product with like negative emotions because you're putting a fucking ad in the middle of this fucking video.
Well, yeah,
So,
it's just like yeah, when you're loading up content and then you know you see the ad and then it says like 5 seconds and you're just like, this is not 5 seconds I have. All right.
yeah. It's like,
I'm a busy man.
I clicked on this video for immediate like, you know, satisfaction, gratification. I'm not getting it. What the fuck? You're blue balling me here.
Yeah, I listen to YouTube shit while I'm at work, and so whenever there's an ad, I make it like a personal mission to never consume that product.
Like, I write it down so I can like personally boycott it.
I go to their Google page, I immediately write like the most awful, heinous reviews.
Well, like that's what I that's kind of like what I do on Twitter. Like whenever I see like Twitter promoted tweets or like Twitter ads, I just block the account immediately. I'm just like,
yeah,
not from me.
no.
Yeah,
but they keep coming. You can't block them all. They're just gonna keep coming and coming and coming.
Well, I've gotten to the point where now like the only thing I get are like crypto ads. Like I've blocked so many mainstream corporate accounts that like the only thing I get are crypto ads and like HVAC. You know.
So what crypto are you looking at right now? Then what crypto are you investing in?
Well, I've been keeping track of the Shiba Inu subreddit because I feel like they are a much funnier subreddit than most of the funny subreddits.
What do you mean funny subreddit?
There's something very interesting about watching somebody who's like watched like so for anybody who's like who doesn't know, so Shiba actually had like a spike of like 600% or something in October or something, like 2021. It had a very huge spike and then like it dipped, right?
Yeah.
And then it just like pretty much just crashed and it never got back up again. And the funny thing here is that like so many the Shiba community is so deeply delusional, like their memory has failed them so greatly that they will what they'll do is they will find pretty much any stock or any coin that has a graph that looks similar to like what they're going through right now, but like it like spikes up or something, and they're just like, soon, brothers, just gotta wait. And the comments are always very deeply pathetic, but also very funny because they have the 1-2 punch of like, you read the first half of the sentence where they're just like, I'm a 65-year-old man, and I've spent all of my like kids' college money on Shiba. I really hope this bounces back. And you're just like, oh my God, I feel so bad for your family. And then like they follow it up with, my wife said I shouldn't have done this, but she's a bitch. And I'm just like, okay, well, you know what? Now
This
this
is
is
like
funny.
an "Am I the asshole?" post.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. Also, oh yeah, am I the asshole? Oh my God, I hate that community so much, but I can't stop reading.
There's like a certain like, it's almost like tabloid news where you just kind of like Schadenfreude get off on like someone else like fucking up or doing something awful, or something awful happening to them.
Am I the asshole is possibly like, I don't know how I can describe it, but am I the asshole? Like people who frequent Am I the asshole? And you know what? I'm not afraid to throw myself into the ring. I'm not afraid to say this as well. But people who frequent Am I the asshole are illiterate. This is objective proof. You know, people on Am I the asshole cannot read. They do not have a basic concept of like what a subject and an object in a sentence is. They can't do it. they don't know.
They can't parse it.
You know, they don't know, because what's going to happen is, you know, you're going to run into posts where people will legitimately be like, "Hi, I recently inherited $70,000 from my grandmother. But my sister has breast cancer and she can't afford the treatments." And then I said, but the thing is that like when I was 14, my sister called me a bitch. So I'm not giving her any money for breast cancer. Am I the asshole? And people are just like, you inherited that money. It's your money. You can do with whatever you want. You're not the asshole. And I'm just like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Like these are like legitimate things that people in Am I the asshole will say.
This like Lynchian sociopath behavior.
It's just full of sociopaths. It literally is. It's just full of sociopaths who are like cosplaying as normal human beings. Like that's what they are.
We just described like Redditor.
Yeah.
I feel like it'd just be a rule of thumb that if you're asking yourself, am I the asshole? You probably are. Like,
yeah, like so like the thing here is that in Am I the Asshole, there you know your community has a problem with like understanding basic social relationships when every couple months somebody has to make a meta post saying there's a very big difference between am I technically in the right versus am I being an asshole? Like the very fact that somebody has to make these posts every few months saying like, guys, you have to understand that like, yes, you not donating to a homeless person, you know, yes, you not donating to a homeless person, you can do that.
You can.
But if you flash like a bunch of money in front of a homeless man and then saying, and then
you're just like throwing pennies at them for some reason.
If somebody is just like, hey, how's it going? I recently just made like a homeless man dance for $50. Am I the asshole? They're gonna be like, you are not the asshole because you know what? He wouldn't have gotten that $50 otherwise.
That was a voluntary exchange.
Yeah, he agreed to be that. Just like how he agreed to be homeless. You know, like that's they legitimately think stuff like this.
Man, I feel attacked right now.
What? Yeah.
Yeah. God, I hate that community so
one
much.
way or another, we have ended up talking about internet communities somehow. Not really in the way I think we initially planned, but that's fine.
So essentially, in the hierarchy of like moral Reddit, there's like Am I the Asshole, who is just like at the bottom, and then at the top is suicide bereavement. All right, these are the two great titans of moral Reddit. All right. Suicide bereavement is like people who are having really bad survivor's guilt because friends or family have committed suicide. So they come in and then they vent, and then everybody gets together to try and help them out. That's all it is, right? It's an extremely earnest manifestation of the internet trying to do good, because that's all what these people are there for. Yeah. They just want to sit there and they just want to help people. They just want to like make them feel like better, to let them know that they're not alone. That's the one side of Reddit morality.
Okay.
On the other side, you have Am I the Asshole? You know, people who are just like, that dog should not have been on your property. That's why it was totally okay to shoot it with a harpoon gun.
It's one of those things where I think like the way Am I the Asshole functions is like a jury where if you post something, if you have a thread and it's like everyone is like, oh yeah, you're the asshole, you're the asshole, you're the asshole. And then one guy is like, oh no, you're not the asshole. That's all it takes. One juror is just like, nope, not guilty, and then you just latch onto that.
You got a hung jury. You got a hung jury now. Yeah.
Well, fuck.
Yeah. So there was recently an "Am I the Asshole" post. And to be clear, I want to sort of like be clear in regards to the fact that I am I'm very upfront in that like I'm heavily downvoted on "Am I the Asshole?" Because so there was recently a post where there was a girl who talked about how she had a half sister, and the half sister was raised by a single mother because the mother was cheating on the father. And the real father, like the half sister's like biological father, doesn't want anything to do with her. So the OP has a half sister who she doesn't really know. And the OP has mentioned multiple times that she just doesn't want to like really know her, right? And then what happened was the OP's father died. And the half sister, she gleefully said that like she went to the funeral just to get a kick out of it, right? But here's the problem. The half-sister said that in confidence to her friends, and a friend of a friend recorded that without her knowledge and then sent it to the OP. The OP then goes to her grandfather, and the grandfather was just like, I can't believe you did this. And then he cuts the half-sister entirely out of the inheritance. And so the OP is just like, am I the asshole? And the Redditors were just like, she shouldn't have made fun of your dead father. She's the asshole. And like most of the downvoted posts are just like, well, hold on, wait a minute. She grew up with a single mother, completely isolated from the main family.
Yeah.
And then it's even better because the OP was like 23 years old, 23, 24. The half-sister was 17. I'm just like, this is a teenager thing to do.
Yeah.
Like, okay, she made fun of somebody you cared about who recently died in private to people that she thought would never like let leave. Are you telling me you've never shit talked to anybody in your life in private?
In confidence.
Yeah, in confidence. Like, are you serious? So one of the things that people were saying is they said like she's 18, she should have known better. And I'm just like, no, she's 18. She wouldn't have known better.
Yeah.
Like by any measurable metric of mental development, 18 is not the year that people will know better. And I got downvoted for that.
Oh. It was like there was one that was like a family had like a son who was gay, but they didn't want their grandmother, like the grandmother, the matriarch of the family, knowing because they wouldn't.
Yeah, she was like a Christian fundamentalist. Yeah.
Yeah, and she was like paying for the colleges, but she would like definitely not do that. They found out the son was gay or whatever, and the son kind of like doesn't even really come out, but like suggests they have like feelings for another guy at their school to like a cousin who they thought they could trust.
Yeah,
and then the grandmother subsequently finds out and boots the son out of like doesn't get any more college tuition money. Mm-hmm. And the family's just like, well, what the fuck did we do here? We just spent $60,000 renovating our kitchen.
Renovating the kitchen, yep.
And there were comments that were just like, your son should have kept their fucking mouth shut. It's like, what? What? Excuse me?
They should have,
just waited another year or two.
Yeah, Redditors love applying the talk shit, get hit mentality for the most vulnerable people.
Yeah, for the most minute of things. It's like what?
Yeah, like the least upvoted comments were just like, wait a minute, why didn't you at least hold on to that money until like you're in the clear? Like they have 60,000 apparently. They have 60,000 to spend on a kitchen renovation.
But it's kind of like, missing the whole homophobic grandmother thing.
Yeah. Yeah, the community is a goddamn cesspit.
So this is like what entry on your 3x3? So we can like clear that up. We move on to the next one.
Oh, I see. We're going back to that. Okay. Yeah. So what about my 3x3? Do you want to clarify?
Well, okay. So can we just talk about, because there's like a interesting variance here in terms of the kinds of shows and the kinds of anime that are on here. Because you have like Dobits.
Yeah.
Next to fucking like Jinro.
Yeah.
Next to Shoujo Sabaki and like this charcoal feather thing.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
What about like,
what's the problem?
It was just like kind of like, all over the place.
Look, all right, not everybody puts Ava as one of their tops, okay? Some people can
Mumi,
think
do you have
outside
any
the box.
thoughts about that?
I feel attacked right now. What the fuck? What did I do?
You know? I'm just saying, some people are independent thinkers. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I see.
You know?
I didn't do anything to deserve this.
Sorry, Mumi, I didn't even know you had Ava on your 3x3.
It's like his number one. It's in the fucking center.
Whoops. Whoops.
I love Evangelion.
Mumi didn't even stick his head out over the trench. He didn't go into like no man's land. He just got hit by a renegade artillery shell on the fucking Somme, and he lost his legs.
Just get hit by the AoE spell.
Fucking collateral. God damn.
Yeah, whoops. Sorry, when I mean, look, all right, okay, to clarify, when I say, when I say people who put Evangelion on the 3x3 are unoriginal thinkers, I don't mean you, you know? You are clearly an exception, of which I will not explain any further what that exception is.
Oh, did you hear that, Mumi? You're an exceptional individual.
You are an exception.
Thanks.
Who's like crying in the corner right now.
Yeah, I'll just be muted for a minute. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry, Mumi. I love you, man.
Whoa, who is that? Is that
What the
Mumi
fuck?
but a different voice?
I thought I heard a voice too there for a second.
Yeah, I thought I heard a voice. What the hell was
is
that?
No, I think I was just hearing
Someone
things.
outside? Is
This Discord chat is haunted.
Let me go. Hold on. Let me see.
Fuck are you doing?
No, there's no one outside. I don't see anyone.
Oh, okay.
That was weird.
What is the rest of your 3x3? I was trying to work because it's like, okay, you got Chobits, and then
I think,
you got Clanad.
yeah, I think Ghost knows all
I know
of it.
most of it. I think.
I don't know what the far right and the center are supposed to represent.
All right. Okay, Mumi, let's go. All right. Let's go. Okay, so here's a clue.
All right.
The whole thing is in alphabetical order from top left to bottom right.
What the fuck? How does
That
that
really
help me?
narrows it down. All right, so Jinro.
Any anime between J and C?
All right. Yeah, this is like a Sudoku puzzle, all right? You know some of them. This is a Sudoku puzzle. Now you got to figure out the rest.
Okay, so Shoujo. So is the bottom left must be.
Is that Full Metal Alchemist? Is that Hitler?
No, he doesn't have the mustache, dude.
Maybe Hitler.
Oh, that kind of looks like a mustache. The little mouth thing.
The little mouth.
I can kind of see it. Yeah, the fucking bean mouth.
No, that's not Hitler. Bottom left.
Oh, you're right. This is Full Metal Alchemist starts with an F. It would be over in the top right.
Yeah, see, I'm telling you, alphabetical order Sudoku.
I have absolutely no fucking idea what the fuck that top right's supposed to
We
be.
saw some like fucked like 3x3s in terms of like what the hell is this shit. This one might be the hardest, especially because you've given us like a slight clue.
Well, like on those, like at least they're usually like using screenshots, so you're like, okay, this kind of looks like it might have been made around 1985 to 1992. Like,
I'll put that shit into like Sauce Now or something and be able to pull it up. That doesn't work here.
But look, they're little cute bean people.
Do it
Little
like this fucking.
beans.
They're doing like the pose that we're doing right now. We're just like, I don't fucking know. They got their fucking like hands up. Like, oh,
Yeah,
Shrug emoji.
All right, so let's start from the top left, and then I'll let you know if that's correct or not.
Okay. Got it.
Chobits?
Yeah, that's showbiz. Yeah.
Clanad?
Yes.
I have no idea. I literally, like,
Okay, so he's between a C and a J.
with a character with long hair.
You gotta think of anime that are between C and a J.
This is the worst.
Any character with long hair.
So I'm gonna give you a pretty big clue.
Final Fantasy VII Advent Children.
I'll give you a pretty big clue, right? This is her transformed state.
It's a Madrigal show.
Yes.
It wouldn't be Sailor Moon.
No, I'm not that bad.
Full Moon.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I was trying to remember. Like, there's one thing on here that I can't. That the name's on the tip of my tongue. It's like, oh yeah, it's Full Moon.
I literally only got that because of the fucking hint and the fact that it's between C and J.
See, look, dude, I'm telling you, the system works.
I literally would never have guessed that from that picture. It's actually
Okay.
impossible.
All right, then Jinro, and then the other
Yep.
three need to be between J and S.
Hold on.
Yep.
Jay, is that now and then, here and there? Is that the bitch with like the parted hair?
That is now and then, here and there.
All
Yep.
right, got it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Lala-Roo. Yeah.
Now between N and S.
Wait, that's Lala-Roo? I was thinking the older one.
No, it's like the hair fringe, right? She's got like the front hair
I
fringe.
don't know why I was thinking it was like the right-hand chick for the shitty antagonist guy.
Oh, no.
She has like a similar parting.
Yeah. Well, kinda. You know, if she had that, I probably would have drawn the SS outfit she's in.
That'd been kind of hot.
Yeah, the bean version of her, yeah.
All right, so now we got Toho Project, right?
Nope.
No, it needs between N and S.
You said you thought it was Fruits Basket earlier, but it can't be Fruits Basket because it's after N.
Yeah.
A bitch with a giant bow.
Characters.
Is that one bow or two bows?
I think that's one giant
Wait,
bow.
is that the girl that's got like hands for hair dangling, or is that just how it looks?
What the?
You know, they're like the rabbit hentai girl with the fucking hands for hair.
Oh, no. No.
Oh.
I thought you'd be
What
like, bro,
the
you talking about a
fuck?
Mortal Kombat character? What?
I don't know her fucking name. It's like
Trying to fucking.
Jojo Rabbit or
together-
some shit.
What is this like database element of big bow?
What the fuck?
Fucking put like goddamn like Jeopardy music.
What the fuck is this?
All right, so another clue is this one is probably my favorite show.
Oh god. I swear to God, now it's on the tip of my tongue.
Also, I'll say this is also part of a trilogy. It's technically considered a trilogy.
The Big Bow Trilogy?
The Big Bow trilogy.
Not
yeah.
Onegai Teacher, is it?
It's not Onegai Teacher, but
Onegai Twins?
it is twins. Yes,
Ah.
it's
There we go. Yeah. Yeah. They
It's
got
I haven't
Karen.
seen that one. Seen Onegai Teacher, but I wouldn't have guessed that. either way.
Banger show.
what? Who said that?
Where the
Oh my
fuck
god,
is that?
Ghost?
I feel like
What?
there's someone in here right now when we're just not. This is getting like.
Bottom left, is that Sakamoto?
That's not Sakamoto.
No, he needs the glasses. So between an O and S. Just Google what
B?
letters those are.
OBS?
OBS.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the OBS anime.
Ornstein Smell?
Orange
Or
and smile.
smell.
What the fuck? Oh, is it Rakugo?
It is Rakugo. Yeah, it's Rakugo.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say, yeah.
I was trying to figure out what that outfit could have been.
And then
Shoujo Tsubaki and then
Jojo
Charcoal
Sabaki,
Feather.
charcoal feather.
Well, we
Yeah.
did it. We made it through somehow.
Yeah, we did it. We kind of figured. Fucking goddamn Sudoku motherfucker.
Yeah, there we go.
I wouldn't
We
have
did
guessed
it.
you liked Full Moon so much. It's a fucking banger.
What do you mean you wouldn't have guessed? What are you implying?
I don't know. Just most
So-
people don't watch Full Moon.
Oh, okay.
There are a lot of shows here from like the early 2000s. That when like you kind of like got into anime.
Well, my first experience to anime was a VHS copy of 3x3 Eyes.
I thought that was going a different direction for a second.
Interesting.
And then I didn't watch anime for a really long time.
Because you just
And-
hated 3x3 Eyes that much.
No, I just so like I never grew up really with like anime, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't get into so like I watch anime. So I think the thing is that like I'm not a very big like how can I describe it? I'm not a very big like performatively anime guy in the context that like I've seen a decent number of shows. But I don't really like broadcast to people that like I'm a big anime guy, right? You know, like I don't have anime paraphernalia. So I don't have anime paraphernalia. I have an old like Death Note poster like tucked away somewhere in a closet.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't really like have anything. And like I've never made it like watching like anime really like any particular part of my identity, which is why it's really hard to find people on Tinder, bro. Holy shit, dog.
like the fact that anime like wait are you saying that if you broadcasted anime more it'd be easier to find people on Twitter?
Yeah,
on
it's
Tinder?
so rough trying to find people and like,
Really?
you know, not talking about like you know, you're just like I'm not an anime person. I don't really watch that much anime. And then they're just like, what a loser.
They are to you. What the?
I mean, to be honest, like, you might as well not have watched anime when you talk to most of, like, people who aren't really into anime if you've seen a lot. Like, you talk to, like, some rando about anime, and it's like, oh, I've seen Attack on Titan and Demon Slayer.
I watched that Maid-sama show on Netflix.
In my experience, it's often one or two kinds of people who are like willing to talk to you about anime in like real life.
Yeah.
On one hand, it's like people who are like super casual about anime, who are just like, yo, have you seen Attack on Titan? That thing is hype, bro. Or like, you go to like GameStop or something to get the latest Manhunt, and they're just like, hey, it's a Deku Funko Pop. Maybe I should get one. And then you're just like, whoa, okay. Like those are the kinds of people on one hand. But on the other hand, it's like the people who are like hyper annoying about anime,
Yeah.
Like they will unironically talk to you about like the Monogatari series, like as you're sitting in the middle of a goddamn Montana's or something, trying to have a meal. And you're just like, bro, I just ordered my steak, man. This is getting cold. Please stop talking to me.
Please stop telling me about how the panties of the 10-year-old girl actually is really deep. Her waiter's
they don't
gonna
even say
spit her
that.
food.
Well, so like they don't even say that, right? Like I think the problem is that they don't even say that, because if they say that, I will at the very least be all like, well, if I really liked Bakemonogatari, at least I have somebody to talk to about it. But no, they have like nostalgia critic levels of narrative analysis of it.
Oh.
They're always like that.
They just start doing a full nostalgia critic skit in the middle of Montana.
Like, are you telling me literally the Japanese houses will be that big? That is crazy. Come on. Oh, please. A vampire can become a little girl? Yeah, okay.
He lives in Japan and there's no people. There'd be at least 20 people.
Look, I'm pulling up the population density in Tokyo right now. And you're just like, God damn, I'm just trying to finish the steak, bro. Come on, man.
Listen, if her head tilted back like that, her neck would snap.
Her neck would break.
I bet her
sometimes
back hurts.
her back hurts.
From what?
Sometimes they're not like realism pedants. Like sometimes, like a lot of times, the people who watch like a ton of anime and are like, look, I'm just gonna say it right now. Nerds being comfortable being nerds is the worst social development in human history. Okay. The nerds got revenge, and the revenge sucks.
Well, God, Revenge of the Nerds, that movie was like raping.
The movie, deeply misogynistic.
Yes.
And you know what? In a weird way, it is actually kind of accurate, because nerds are surprisingly incapable of understanding consent. I'm just saying, all right?
That's so true.
Oh my God, is that a ghost?
Well, I think they're like agreeing with you now, so I mean, that's a plus.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I want to clarify to the audience, right? There's going to be people who are listening to this, like 3 people, who are going to be all like, I think I'm a nerd, and you know what? I understand what consent is. And to my answer is, you're one of the special ones. You are unique. You don't count in the category I've set down right now about 4 shots of vodka in. You are one of the good ones.
If you're like, man, I know consent. I think if you have that thought when you hear that, you might be one of the ones that don't know consent. Like, I feel like any normal person just hears that and just like doesn't care, because it's like,
I mean, when I wake up in the morning, I just look myself in the mirror and say, I will not sexually assault someone today.
I will not maintain eye contact for an appropriate amount of time.
Yeah, you're like an old school Protestant. You're just like, I'm gonna do one good thing today, and then that's gonna get me into heaven. And then like the first thing you do is you look into the mirror and then you say, I will not commit sexual assault. All right, I did my good deed for the day.
There we
Let's
go. There we go. Let's go.
I did it. We're good.
No, I just got to commit to it. That's my pep talk that gets me up every day.
I love that it's a pep talk, so it implies that you have to psych yourself up to not do it.
I mean, obviously, I don't want to do it because it's No Nut November right now. So,
of course.
Got to hold strong to that.
Yeah.
Any other month, we're fine.
Watch this take so long. This comes out in December.
You just like jump up. you jump up out of bed and you're just like, y'all ready for this? Bum, 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 bum. And it's like you have neon lights like flashing everywhere saying no rape, no rape.
No rape,
like,
no rape.
Like, all right.
All right, let's go.
Confetti falls from like your ceiling. You're just like, God damn it, man. I'm getting killed on confetti. Yeah.
Just like that every day.
Every day.
Better than any alarm clock. Just the thought that I'm not going to commit one of the worst crimes a person can possibly inflict on another human being.
I have to spend $6,000 a month on confetti just so I don't rape.
My therapist said this might not be a good coping strategy. I disagree.
You know what? Next Monday is the last time I'm going to see that asshole because I'm running out of money, and it's either pay for more therapy or get more confetti. And I know where my priorities lie.
Disorder. Just need to be even like the most minute things, like I stopped at a stoplight, just confetti rains down from inside your car.
Yeah, can you imagine if you're just like at a red light and you see like this old woman in like a walker, and she's like slowly crossing. She's slowly crossing the street. And you see the signs, and it's just like the signs from They Live, but instead of saying obey, it just says no rape. You're just like, God, where's my confetti?
Oh, God, these urges, it's like a schizophrenic breakdown. What?
Yeah, it's They Live, but the main character's an incel.
It'll be a very interesting reading of the movie.
How did we get here?
I don't know how we got here. This has been
Yeah, I don't know. You were interrogating me on my 3x3, and for some reason, it got to this prolonged discussion about sexual assault.
For a long sketch about, and I don't want to retrace our steps. Yeah.
Which, to clarify, I understand that this is a hot button political issue, but I am not a fan of sexual assault.
Man, what are you doing on this podcast then? What the fuck?
Much like a Rebecca short, we're going to get a lot of angry comments about such a bold and controversial statement.
I'm not going to share this episode to anybody until I see what the initial comments look like. If they're just like, what the fuck is this guy? I'm going to be like, I'm not sharing this to my mutuals.
Yeah, let all the people, like your Twitter followers just see it and be like, what the fuck is this? Like,
it's like, why did you make so many sexual violence jokes? It's just like, I don't know, man. I'm running out of material. It's so much fun,
now. Jan. Get it.
Jan.
Fucking Tarantino.
God, the interview.
Yeah.
So, anime communities.
Anime communities.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
IRL anime fans.
You know, I guess like the Tinder thing, I guess kind of like brings up an interesting question, because like how do we think like communities have like affected how people like consume anime or even like engage in it? Because like you get such drastic like experiences, right? Like you get people that just watch My Hero Academia or Attack on Titan on like Netflix, right? And then you get people who are like on the complete other end of the spectrum, and they're like torrenting like their favorite characters like Ona holes like scans so they could 3D print it on their 3D printer. Like,
can you 3D print those?
I mean, you could. I don't think they'd be very comfortable, but you could do it.
No, probably not.
Does anybody do that?
3D print Ona holes?
No, of like their favorite character.
I mean, they do make like knockoff like Ona holes.
Can you imagine if somebody was just like 3D printing something for like 50 something hours, and then like it's finally done, right? And they're just like, finally, I have the perfect Ona hole of the most erotic character of all time, the Armor Titan.
Yes!
Yes! Yeah,
it's so goddamn rigid.
It's just hard plastic. It's like, oh, this is
what I need.
Yes!
I feel like that's something Tomino would do.
Oh, God.
Just get really into the fucking, like, specifics of how their fucking anal cavity would feel.
Oh, God. Yeah, fucking Tomino giving meticulous instructions for how, like, the Ona holes of his, like, Gundam women characters must be designed. It's integral to not make Char look like a bitch.
This is what they call world building. All right, people want world building. They're getting it.
These are like the factoids that we need in these fan books. Not like power level stats or anything. No.
Yeah, the character data.
No, we need anal rigidity. All right.
This is why Brain Powered was such a great anime. He has that level of detail.
Answer, giving us the key answers.
This sounds like the kind of GoFundMe that a real Attack on Titan fan would like set up. They'll be like, I recently purchased the Attack on Titan character data sheet with the objective asshole cavity, and I need to hire a translator. Please send me $400.
I need to know.
People are just like, why only $400? It's like, I only need the asshole part translated.
Use a
It's
Fiverr.
like, what? So somehow veered into like a very strange like Deviantart like subsection. I can guarantee you, like I'd put up images of like exactly what we're talking about right now, but that would get the video immediately deleted.
Oh, also, yeah, talk about online communities. DeviantArt is a very approachable online community. Yeah, I used to be pretty active on DeviantArt.
I'm deeply fascinated. This is gonna sound so bad. I'm deeply fascinated with all of the various fetishes on DeviantArt, especially like when they're like well drawn. It's not as interesting. They need to be like very crude, like in crayon or something. That's what really just makes me laugh. It's just like,
Well, that's like the kind of interesting thing about DeviantArt as a space is that like it has such a long sort of pedigree, and I mean pedigree in the context that like it has like a very particular kind of cultural history. So you can have like a situation where somebody is like they look like a goddamn like Paul Cézanne painter, but it's like it's a fox blowing itself up like a balloon. You're just like, wow, I love the interplay of the light that's being
yeah,
shown
it's like
here.
extreme talent for extreme smut. But then you also get stuff like, I don't know, Giga tied up with like duct tape over his mouth. That's a thing. That's like shit I found before.
Yep.
It's just like interesting, and it's all the account does, like thousands upon thousands of images like this, and it's just like, okay, you do you, champ.
Yeah. Oh yeah, another great community on Reddit, the Natty or Juice subreddit.
Natty or juice, yes, of course.
Am I the asshole?
I love it. Okay, I'm at the asshole is a terrible subreddit full of terrible people, but the Natty or Juice subreddit, pure hearts
What was
everywhere.
the one like schizo fighting community subreddit you were like telling me about?
Kappa?
Yeah, Kappa.
Yeah, so Kappa is really interesting because like whenever people talk about like the quote unquote fighting game community, you don't really have a good idea of like what the fighting game community like looks like or thinks about, except for Kappa. Kappa is like the Freudian id of the fighting game community. It's like you want to see what happens when like people who are into Street Fighter or Tekken, but also into anime, like just come together and then see what they say. Well, you're gonna get a lot of transphobia and a lot of simping.
Interesting. It's just a massive confluence of things, like a perfect storm.
Oh yeah.
Like Poland being invaded by the Soviets and Nazi Germany at the same time.
Yeah, it's a deeply libidinal space in a lot of ways.
Anime communities?
Oh, okay, yeah. What about him?
Trying to like rein this in, and so every time we say something, it just veers off into a completely like bizarre tangent until we get bored and we need to reset.
This is absolutely the worst episode you guys have done.
Of course, there's no structure here.
Damn, bro, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
like,
I know, right?
Wait, who said that?
Gil.
What?
Oh my god, it's GilLiesHere from youtube.com/GilLiesHere, a channel that's now smaller than us.
Fuck. Oh, you fucking
Dr. Isekai.
Yeah, I've been here the entire time.
You have been?
That's
Yeah.
crazy, bro.
You've been awfully quiet.
I've been chiming in,
Yeah.
you know? You guys have been treating me a bit rude, like I wasn't here.
Yes. That was on purpose and not a joke.
We just really don't like you.
Yeah, it's kind of
That
you guys
wasn't
are
a
fucking
bit.
assholes.
We were
to be
just hoping
honest.
you would go away.
Yeah, we were hoping that if we just like kept being like, oh, what was that? Was that a fucking noise? This fucking like.
Unfortunately for you, I am unable to take a hint.
Yes. Like cinema sins, I can arbitrarily decide whether what I say is a joke or not.
So Gil, if you can't take a hint, does that mean you're one of the nerds who doesn't understand consent?
Yes, I do.
Get
know.
him, fellas, get him. Get him.
What a brave and bold statement. Gil, have you considered just waking up in the morning and looking in the mirror and just saying, not today. It's not going to be today.
I think we can now definitively say 1 in 4 anime watchers.
No.
GilLiesHere lives at 314 Privet Drive. Get it.
You start saying the Walter White house.
Yeah.
Negro Arroyo Lane.
It kind of reminds me, Joe. You saw that. I think you were at it with it. That fucking Not Just Bikes shared video where he's talking about racism and urban planning. In that video, he goes off on this random unintroduced segment or diatribe about going off on a rant at Thanksgiving about monopoly being capitalist propaganda to children.
Yeah, ranting to your relatives at Thanksgiving about how fucked up monopoly is and how he's not allowed to do that anymore.
Yeah, it's to normalize.
Monopoly is deeply anti-capitalist. Monopoly is deeply anti-capitalist.
That's what I was he was he apparently goes off on rants to describe how monopoly is to normalize capitalism. And I'm like, dog, do you not know what monopoly's history? Are you just saying this shit?
Yeah, monopoly was invented by a Georgian feminist.
Yeah,
who argued that landlord capitalism is really shitty because
which is the whole point,
the thing, right? So here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand: Monopoly actually has 2 game modes.
Mm-hmm.
So
does
so it has another game mode called Prosperity, where so essentially how this game works, right, is you choose the Monopoly or the Prosperity game mode, and the Prosperity game mode is where people are forced to sort of pay a dividend to the person who has the least amount of money. And so if you play it by those rules, everybody develops quickly. However, if you play Monopoly, if you play Monopoly, the thing that you're supposed to do, right, is you cannot let the other people develop. So you are incentivized to essentially put the game into deadlock. Nobody can win because you can't let them win, And so with Monopoly, right? So because the whole idea of Monopoly, right, is the whole idea of Monopoly is you put down all of your pieces. So this is what's called, so this is something that you're going to see a lot in game studies, which is called procedural rhetoric. And procedural rhetoric is simply the idea that a game's mechanics can make arguments. This seems like a pretty straightforward thing, but gaming YouTube is surprisingly bad at actually trying to figure out what a procedural argument is. Because most of gaming YouTube is narrative analysis. Most of them is just the nurses in Silent Hill are sexy because James has a libido. That has nothing. So that is not something that's necessarily integral to the gameplay, right? It's one of those things where it's just that's cool, but that actually doesn't talk to you. That doesn't tell us anything about how a gameplay mechanic makes an argument, right? So an idea, so the example that people oftentimes talk about is the concept of ludonarrative dissonance, right? The idea where so ludonarrative dissonance is not always a bad thing, but ludonarrative dissonance simply refers to when the game's mechanics are making one kind of argument, but its non-mechanical component is making another kind of argument. So the example that oftentimes, so Clint Honking uses the example of BioShock, but the one that makes the most sense to people is where, Nathan Drake is really sad about how many people he's killed, and then he immediately just guns down a whole bunch of people. Because the game, right? So in Uncharted, right, Nathan is there ends up being a point where the protagonist is sort of over the hill where he's getting really tired about this, and part of it is just simply because of the body count he racks up, right? Because he's just Indiana Jones with a gun. That's the Uncharted series. But the non-mechanical component, right, is essentially saying this man is tired, he doesn't want to kill anymore, etc., etc., etc. The mechanical component, however, heavily rewards you for gunning people down. So the gameplay is saying this is cool, but the story is saying this is not cool. So what you have here is you have dissonance, ludonarrative dissonance, where the arguments that both of them are presenting are not exactly the same thing. This can actually be used in a lot of very interesting ways to sort of stress a particular kind of like imagination, right? So the example is oftentimes an example that is like the Sims. The Sims is like on a narrative, non-mechanical level, is like this cutesy, goofy kind of thing. But mechanically, it pushes you into like this deep informatic control like society. And the whole idea is to just show the sort of vapidity of like modern day suburbia.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, you know, you can build the house and all that kind of stuff, but it doesn't go anywhere. None of it goes anywhere. You meet the people and all that kind of stuff, and then all you hear is that stupid Sims language. You know, and then it's a very like deeply sad sort of look at suburbia, because it's just
because whenever I play Sims, I just stay at my house the entire time and I don't go outside.
Yes.
Just like real life.
Yes, I build a basement and I just work out all day. Because in the Sims, there's no cool off period. I can just work out all day. So this is what they call procedural rhetoric, right? The idea that a mechanic can actually make an argument. Mechanics can make arguments, right? And Monopoly is very good at that.
Yeah.
Because in Monopoly, what it does is that it pits all of its players against each other, and it incentivizes them through its mechanics to say, you have to screw over other people, because if you do not, they will screw over you.
Yeah.
And so it shows this, it demonstrates this by creating the most boring, least fun endgame of all time, where everybody has all of a sudden bought all of the property and nobody is able to develop because everybody's bought all the property.
It's the worst. It's the worst thing ever at the end.
It is the worst endgame of all time. And here's the magic of Monopoly, right? The question is, how do you get out of that endgame? You collude. You collude with people to create monopolies. You tell somebody, say, I will give you this territory, you give me that territory, we will fuck over everybody else, but you and me, we will win.
Yeah, grading like a duopoly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, that's even considering the fact that, again, remember, you don't get the sort of monopoly lockdown. You get the monopoly lockdown all the time, or most of the time, but for somebody to get that sort of like developmental like thing organically, right? So you might think, okay, well, wait a minute. What about people who like roll like, you know, all the boardwalk tiles? What about the people who do that? Well, why do they roll it? It's because they're lucky.
Yeah.
They didn't earn their way into that monopoly.
Yeah.
They lucked into it. So essentially, to win Monopoly, there are two things that have to happen. One, you get lucky and you build a monopoly through luck. Or two, you collude. Both of these are sort of extreme, like scathing criticisms of the capitalist of the capitalist ideology. You did not work to win the game. You broke the rules of the game, or you lucked into it.
Yeah. What was the original name of Monopoly? Wasn't it literally just called Landlord?
Yeah, so
it was called the Landlord's Game.
Landlord's Game.
Like, I don't know how you could like look at Monopoly. Like, if you don't like if you literally look up the history of Monopoly for like a second, see the original name was Landlord's Game. I don't know how your brain doesn't click. Oh yeah, I think this is like maybe a critique a little bit. Like, how does that not click in your head? I don't like. I wonder, going back to that video, right? Like, I wonder if he just never looked it up. You want to make all these claims about how, it's capitalist propaganda to normalize capitalism to children without ever looking up the Wikipedia page, I guess.
So, as far as, like, I guess, like, game mechanics and narrative, Mumi, you keep talking to me about this fucking, like, Pathologic 2 game, I guess you really fucking like, and how it does that.
Well, we're, like, really switching gears on me.
I can explain my 3x3 if you want. You know, if you really want this to be an anime podcast.
No, like, I really like, because that game, the sum of it basically is, like, you're playing as, like, a doctor in, the steppes of, like, Russia. In I think it's, like, early 1900s. It's not really, like, clear on the time period, but...
You don't have to explain it. I know what happens in Pathologic. I saw the Mandalore gaming video.
Oh, okay, that's good. For anyone that doesn't know, like you play as a doctor and you're like trying to like
you play as a doctor in like this like weird sort of Lovecraftian like small town Russia kind of space.
Yeah.
But all the soundtrack is like Mongolian. Yeah, it's a very Siberian aesthetic.
Yeah.
It's not like Moscow, Russia. It's like
it's
a very specific aesthetic.
You're playing as a doctor and you're trying to like help people. But the mechanic's almost like actively punishing you for thoughtlessly helping people. And so on your first playthrough, it basically gets to a point where if you try to play like you would as like a morally good character and just try to help every single person you come across, you will lose and you will end up like in a failure game state. And so you end up having to like prioritize people just to get to the like a end game.
No nationalized healthcare for you.
Well, you have like such a limited amount of resources, and like those resources can only be like accessed through basically a makeshift barter economy where you're trading like a 7-year-old some string and a needle for like a fucking acorn or something to buy.
Listen. The effects of these NHS budget cuts are far-reaching.
It makes you interact with the game themes like on a gameplay, like in a Ludonarrative sense, where you're not just able to play the game like you would Skyrim and just be pure Paragon or pure morally Hitler or whatever.
Well, Skyrim doesn't have a real morality meter.
No.
You're talking about Mass Effect.
Mass Effect to Fallout.
You said Paragon and Renegade. All right, you can't slip the by me.
I said
That's
Hitler.
Okay, you said Paragon.
Okay, well you can't play it like
Renegade.
Fallout 3 then.
Okay.
Where you can be a paragon of morality or just literally Hitler.
In Skyrim, you can only be a bleeding heart liberal or a racist.
True.
So Skyrim is very funny. I'm going to just talk very briefly about Skyrim. Skyrim is very funny. One, because they have an incredibly massive modding community, the largest singular modding community that I know of.
Yeah. Maybe Minecraft beats it.
Yeah, so Minecraft, quote unquote, beats it, but Minecraft has a lot of different modding communities.
Yeah.
Skyrim has like, if Nexus mod goes offline, they're done.
Goes
the only community left to sort of forward the Skyrim world is Lover's Lab. The sex mod people.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's shocking how big that community is and yet still be coherent and cohesive.
Yeah.
Because how cohesive it is when drama happens and everybody rallies around and all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, Skyrim is really funny because like Skyrim's like main sort of moral condition is like you're either a like neolib or you're just racist.
Yeah, you side with the Empire.
Yeah, you side with the Empire, but the whole rhetoric about the Empire, right, is that like the Empire is actually good for everybody.
Right.
The literacy rates of all of Skyrim have raised. It's like, oh, interesting.
They're building railroads.
They're building railroads right into Skyrim. Wow.
The Belt and Road Initiative, basically.
Yeah, you have the Dark Elves who are just like I'm finally able to get jobs now thanks to the Empire and their Dark Elf leg up program. I'm the only one in my community who doesn't have a drinking problem, but I love the Empire. And it's also on the topic of procedural rhetoric. You can actually see that happen. So in Skyrim, as you're walking around, there is something that kind of happens, and that is during the world, right? You have like so Skyrim sort of like clusters its NPC interactions to its cities and its towns, right?
Right.
But you will get people walking around.
Yeah.
So you'll get people walking around to give like a sense of like life to like the world of Skyrim. So as you're like walking along, you'll see this when you're actually going on the path. So like people won't see it when they're like cutting through Skyrim like goddamn animals, climbing mountains and something.
With horses and shit.
Yeah. If you follow the path, like if you follow like the cobblestone pathways that like make up the sort of connections to the cities, you will see people like NPCs walk along those paths.
Yeah.
And the people who are supporting the Imperium are always people of color. They're always elves. They're always dark elves. They're always they're almost always non-humans.
Good
And the
geez.
the people who are supporting the Stormcloaks are white Nords.
Nords, yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Nords are like the most
goofy.
oh yeah, these are the white people. Like it's literally there's not even a mask about it, right? Like it's like
Oh no.
white
I mean,
people,
within like the lore of like Elder Scrolls, so like humans came down from like this like frozen like hellscape of like a northern continent, and they like first landed in Skyrim. So like the idea is like the Nords, Skyrim are like the first like people basically.
Mm-hmm.
Some real like Hyperborean type shit.
Yeah, so the Nords from Skyrim, so the Nords are interesting because like the Nords are considered like the first humans.
Yeah.
So how it works is they are descendants of the Atmorans. So the Atmorans lived up in like a frozen godless wasteland up north.
Yeah.
And they came down. But there's something really weird. So they came down and then they came across the snow elves. And the snow elves were just like, get away, bro. Come on, man. And the Atmorans essentially they're like modern day Israelites, right? They just illegally settled.
Oh no.
The snow elves pushed them out of the snow elves pushed them out by just killing a whole bunch of them. And then
So
what
cells
happened,
are Moss?
I guess, yeah.
If they're successful.
But here's the thing. There was one Atmoran who survived. He goes back to Atmora, right? He goes back to Atmora, and then he gets a whole bunch of people, and he comes back with a war machine and just kills all the snow elves. This is the story of Ysgramor, the founding father of Skyrim.
Yeah, then you can see like statues of him in the game.
Yeah, like the whole country is just built on genocide of like non-humans.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah. There's also a very funny little bit of lore.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
So
Look who's laughing now.
There's a
See
whole
that mountain?
section. There's a whole element of Elder Scrolls lore that is just
See that
absolute
mountain?
insanity. Like
Yeah.
the thing about Elder Scrolls that's really funny is that like there's that one part of Elder Scrolls where like you can understand that it was written by like people who have like the corporate suits like sort of mentality where they're just like, okay, Lord of the Rings is popular, D&D is popular. We have to have some kind of stuff like that, right?
Yes.
So there's like that part, you know? But then there's like the other part of like the whole Elder Scrolls lore where it's like, this is very clearly written by people who are just absolutely smashed on cocaine and LSD.
Yeah, well,
and
that's the
whatnot.
stuff that you don't necessarily directly see.
Yeah. So like, for example, the Akaviri who are like, you know, just, they're essentially just the Japanese, right? They're dressed up in like samurai armor.
Are those the cats or are those like the dragon people?
They're the dragon people. They're like the dragon killers.
Right.
So
Right.
essentially, old Elder Scrolls lore is that like the old like Akaviri, I believe, what they would do is they would line their shields with wasabi, but like it was like LSD wasabi. It was like LSD fantasy wasabi, and they would bite into it because it would put them on such a hard LSD trip that when they went into battle, like they just wouldn't feel pain. Like this is just part of Elder Scrolls lore.
Oh, it's so schizo.
I feel like that brings a whole new meaning to the Clockwork Elves.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know. Mumi, you also know about Mass Effect lore. Does Mass Effect lore get this schizo?
No. Maybe? No.
Mass Effect lore doesn't get like super schizo, but there is like something about Mass Effect that is very funny. So Mass Effect is very interesting in the context that like it's a very well thought out universe. It's one of those universes that kind of has an answer for everything, but sometimes the answers are very hilarious. Like they will call a nuclear bomb a city buster. But like so here's the thing, right? That's like a really good like in-universe thing because like when you're talking about like galactic empires, yeah, a nuclear bomb would just be a city buster.
Yeah. Yeah.
In our day, a city is like something that can destroy a whole city. That's really fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But in the Mass Effect universe, they're just like, this is a city buster.
If something can destroy a planet,
Yeah.
then that might be a bit more of a thing. But, just a city.
A city? Come on, man. We got like millions of those.
The whole planet's an ecumenopolis. What are you talking about?
Yes.
So what's your take? What's your hot take on the ending of Mass Effect 3?
Okay, the ending of Mass Effect 3. So actually, part of my PhD thesis is about the ending of Mass Effect 3.
Oh.
It's one of those things. So for anybody who will not bother to pay attention, I like it on an idea level. I hated experiencing it on a gameplay level.
So what do you think about the fact that it was like a completely different ending before the leak happened and they had to change it to try and surprise people?
Oh, are you talking about the dark
Yeah,
dark
like the whole
energy
dark matter and
Yeah.
leading up to all the heat death of the universe.
Yeah, so that would have probably made more sense. But like the thing here, right, is that like that probably wouldn't have necessarily resolved the fundamental core problem or the fundamental core like questions, right? I guess I'll just do my PhD thesis, right?
Okay. All right, let's go.
Mass Effect is very interesting from a procedural perspective. So if you take a look at it from the perspective of it as a game or a trilogy of games, because I think the thing that's really, really important to understand about Mass Effect is that you cannot understand Mass Effect unless you understand it as a trilogy. Because the whole selling point of Mass Effect is that the experiences that you have in one game translate into the other game and then translate into the last game. That's the whole idea. That's the whole kerfuffle. You can't really disengage the individual games without grappling with that fundamental component, right? There are games that do that, games that will read saves and be all like, oh, this is how we're going to proceed the game. But none of it really does it to the sort of like massive complexity that Mass Effect had to deal with. So this is like the fundamental mechanical baseline here. The saves essentially create the sort of, they define what actually happens within the quote unquote possibility space. So the space that that can actually happen within the possibility space of Mass Effect. This is very interesting because you can't really quantify experiences without sort of boiling it down to switches. And what I mean by that is that you can't really talk about like, oh, what did you do and all that kind of stuff without boiling it down to like, did you save the right people? Did you make the right decisions? Did you say the right things? These are effectively Boolean switches. These are sort of like true-false switches that are kind of essential by virtue of digital artifacts, right? The thing about digitality is that digitality is a discrete mechanism. It's not an analog mechanism. It's a discrete mechanism. It can be, in a lot of instances, indecipherable from analog relations, but it is functionally discrete. It is yes or no.
Yeah.
It is yes or no. It is true or false. It's that kind of thing.
1-0.
So here's the thing. When you sort of get into a situation where like, so the question of like, in Mass Effect 1, what did you do when the Reapers attacked the Citadel? The question essentially boils down to, did you save these people? Did you save this fleet? Did you save it in this amount of time? All that kind of stuff. And so my thesis talked a little bit about the sort of save edit programs that sort of like understood what happened in Mass Effect. And a lot of them are true false switches. This person was saved. True. Okay. Well, now they show up in the later Mass Effects. This thing was saved. True. Okay, well, then they show up in the later Mass Effects. So essentially, what you have here is you have the condensing of experiences, these things that are incredibly difficult and functionally impossible, but they've essentially become digitized in the effect that they are now represented by a layer on top that is defined by true-false conditions. Well, what is Mass Effect about? Well, it's about the Reapers who come and preserve species through effectively turning them into other Reapers. The core concept of Mass Effect is about aliens who essentially take entire civilizations and then just condense them into mechanical or machining elements that are essentially the metaphor for digitized things. So there's something very interesting about Mass Effect in the context that, like, it is a game that persistently, constantly sells this idea of your experiences, your decisions, all that kind of stuff carries forward. It all carries forward to the next game and all that kind of stuff. The choices you make matter. But the thing is, the choices are there's a sort of mechanical, so there's a concept that Bourdieu calls violence, right? And what he means by violence is the thing that essentially gets lost in the pursuit of, like, essentializing it. There's a sort of digital violence that happens where it says, this whole mission that you did, all of the things the character said to you, the only thing that matters is, did you save the right person? This whole sort of set of experiences has been compressed into these sort of true or false switches, into these sorts of point-based switches, and essentially that decides how the rest of the story plays out. Well, that's actually not that different from the core thematic question at the heart of Mass Effect. Because why are the Reapers there? Well, they're there to harvest human beings. Why are they there to harvest human beings? They're there to preserve them. They have removed the nuance that is associated with the species in the intent of preserving them as some sort of genetic hallmark, as some sort of totem that they will now be able to, quote unquote, live forever in the form of machinery. And that's the fundamental thing that the Star Child actually, tries to make the argument about. Mass Effect is deeply concerned with preservation. The Leviathans created the Reapers, but now they live at the bottom of the ocean because they're scared of losing out their entire species. The Yogg are no longer going to be uplifted during the Reaper invasion because they might be the ones who are calling the shots in the next cycle. Liara creates the box at the very end of Mass Effect 3 to sort of preserve what she understands about Shepard. But what she understands about Shepard is defined solely based upon Switch-based events that happened in the games. In effect, the relationship between all of these things in Mass Effect are fundamentally digitized. They have to be digitized. And what ends up happening is that is happening on all levels of this trilogy, up to and including its save game components. Now, is this intentional? Probably not, but I don't give a shit about that.
So let me get this straight. Okay, so Mass Effect. The idea is is based around did you or did you not save this person? Yes or no?
Yes.
And then the main villains are the Reapers, who are kind of in like a similar sense trying to save all these people, but in doing so are doing it in a very like, oh, technically we saved them.
Yeah. They've essentially said,
but we're just like removing it. But how did you do it?
Well, the machines are trying to prevent intelligent life from creating machines that will destroy all intelligent life by destroying all intelligent life and turning them into machines.
Yeah, it's a very circular reasoning of like self-preservation.
Okay. Kind of like, what is it, like Rocco's Basilisk or something.
Yeah.
Kind of.
You know, the game that I actually have seen like kind of handle gradient of like endings and binary choices affecting that ending. The best game I've seen kind of handle that is probably Silent Hill 2. Because like you get some of the binary switch endings where it's like, did you acquire X item? Yes, no, okay, you're on this ending. But then a lot of them, like the switches are like, did you take a certain threshold of damage when you were with a certain character or something? Or did you visit this character in a certain area one too many times? And it's like kind of more of this weird gradient where it's not necessarily like, did you press X on this action or Y on this action? Or did you save this person or that person? Like it's still a binary, obviously, but it's like kind of hidden within like a threshold.
Yeah.
So it kind of accomplishes that experience a little bit better. It's not optimal. Like there's still some like tweaking they could have done to fix it, like with better technology. But that's probably the best I've kind of seen handle like that kind of like multiple endings kind of thing without it seeming just like a binary, did you do X or Y kind of choice.
And I don't play video games, so.
Well, you do play video games, you just don't play the right ones.
Oh, he plays racist ones.
I play the racist ones and the ones where numbers go up on my phone.
Yes.
Those are also racist ones.
Damn, Gil, I didn't know numbers were racist.
Yes. Have you heard of IQ?
No, we can't say that.
Oh no, Heart, no.
So do you watch a lot of like gaming YouTubers?
No, I watch none of them.
Oh. Have you watched any of them?
I've tried watching them before, but no, I don't watch any of them.
Have you watched Matthew Matos's review where he says the N-word?
It's the only thing I know about Matthew Matosis.
So the thing,
and I was like, damn, base.
It is base.
Yeah, so the thing here, right, is that like I think about it this way. I already freak out enough about Isekai, a topic that I do not specialize in technically. Imagine how insufferable of a human being I would be if I regularly watch gaming YouTubers talk about like a subject that I am very intimately familiar with.
Oh, yeah, that'd be bad.
This caused like a fucking meltdown.
Yeah, I would be like making threads like all day, just complaining.
That's kind of like the thing where it's just like, I don't watch like anime YouTube because I like anime.
Mm-hmm.
I'll sure as shit like watch YouTube for like anything fucking else that I just don't really care that much. It isn't like a hobby.
Mm-hmm. It's so
it's not a hobby.
So the primary problem is simply the fact that like gaming YouTube is in a very interesting position. I actually kind of disagree with my advisor on this, right? Which is that like, because like he watches like gaming YouTubers. But I think gaming YouTube is actually in a very awkward position in that, like, they're just way behind. They're way behind, like, academia when it comes to, like, game studies. Because, like, the thing here is that, like, game studies is kind of a different beast when it comes to its academic research, because a lot of the people who were very integral to the establishment of modern-day game studies were people who began as game designers or developers. Okay. So, like, people like Greg Kostikian, Dave Serlin, Ian Bogost, Chris Crawford, like, a lot of the people who like are talking about like how to think about games cut their teeth on making games. This is a fundamentally different beast than like say like anime academia, because anime academia comes from like the film studies like lineage, right?
Yeah.
They come from like the lineage of people who
it's
are
not
like,
people who've made anime, you know?
Yeah, like they're not people who like make anime, right?
I mean, besides like Asuma Hideki, I guess.
Yeah, well, Azuma made Fractale, the smartest anime of all time.
The smartest anime.
But aside from that, right, like you have outliers like Azuma and like Otsuka Eiji, right? You know?
Yeah.
But like for the most part, they don't do that, right? But here's the thing about gaming academia. Game academia, a lot of game academics, they run labs. So they run like game design labs. A lot of them are not necessary, like they don't make like super successful AAA games, right? But they do make games on a general basis to sort of like test run ideas and concepts.
Okay.
So an example, right, is you will see a ton of gaming academics on Itch.io because they upload a lot of like their research material onto Itch.io. So Patrick Lemieux and Bolofin Lemieux are two such examples where they take The Legend of Zelda, the original NES game, and then they warp the space around it to create a sort of like a 3D spatial game to sort of like see how it sort of changes the way in which The Legend of Zelda is played.
Mm-hmm.
So they do that. Gaming YouTubers don't do that.
Yeah.
So like gaming YouTubers, they sit around and then they constantly talk about narrative. They don't even read like what like gaming, like they don't even read like what a mechanic is. A lot of them don't know what mechanics are. A lot of them don't know like what the lingo of game design is, you know? Like a lot of them don't know what things like game feel are, kinesthetics. They don't agree on what ludonarrative dissonance even is. So like, there's a whole lot of gaming YouTube out there that's just.
I mean, a lot of them don't know the word ludo.
Yeah, they don't know what. Yeah, they don't know. They just don't know. They don't know that sort of like
Pixar movie.
Yeah, well, yeah, Ludo.
No, yeah, they play Fortnite. They make videos.
Yeah, like I don't think I've ever seen a gaming like YouTuber talk about what an affordance is, right? Or like a possibility space, you know? Like, so there's such a huge amount of gaming YouTube out there. As far as I understand, there's literally like only one gaming YouTuber out there that even talks about animation, which is an integral part of gaming. You know,
that's
like,
actually
animation is an integral part of game development because it doesn't matter if you have a video game, if your characters like hit animations don't feel right, people are not going to get into it.
You know, Matthew Matosis has a video where he talks about animation.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you know, I'm talking about like animation as like a general topic, like in the context of like game feel, right? You know?
Yeah. You don't really get that emphasis on like how video games are actually visually crafted from a sort of like production aspect, right? Because you get like a ton of people who would be like, oh, this has good graphics, right? But like, what does that mean, right? Like, and you don't really get to see people like actually talk about like, you kind of break it down. You get a lot more of that with like anime because it's all animation, right? It's all animation, and you don't interact with it. It's not an interactive media, so you only get to see it from that sort of lens, right? So you get like, you know, fucking Sakuga or something like that, right? But you don't get the same for games, and that's the kind of thing that people like will often think of it. They don't even think of it as animation. They think of it as something completely and entirely segmented from it, right?
Yeah. It's like animation. That's a medium unto itself.
Oh.
Like CG animation is bad when it's in anime, but it's great when it's in my JRPG.
Hell yes.
I fucking grilled Mumi about that once, joking. Like, you don't like CG animation, but you sure as shit got that shit in your favorite video games. You motherfucker, you cocksucker.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like
everyone complaining about Dragon Ball superhero, like video games.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know. I thought superhero looked like a video game, even in terms of
it does kind of reminds me of the most closely I think resembling it. Right, would be like the Dragon Ball games, right? Like Xenoverse or DBZ Fighter, right?
And it makes you wonder if like there was any like staff crossover.
I wouldn't know about that, but yeah, it's very similar, like visually, and like, but you get people complaining about that, but they wouldn't necessarily complain about Xenoverse graphics, right? Xenoverse animation, whatever, right? Like they wouldn't really necessarily complain about. They wouldn't really necessarily complain about like Akiba Trip or Persona or, you know.
Well, there's like also something that's like very important, right? Which is that like conceptually, like a lot of these things have already been like thought about, but a lot of gaming YouTubers just like don't bother to do the research, so they don't know about it, right? Like an example is like Jesper Juhl, who is one of the big names in like gaming academia. He talks about the concept of game time versus play time, which is so an easy example is somebody who, for instance, will have never ever played the Street Fighter story mode, but will have dropped like 4,000 hours into labbing.
Right, yeah.
There's a very different sense of time that is being mapped out here because the game time is very different from the play time. They've played way fucking more Street Fighter than like anybody who would. So like that dissonance emerges very, very deeply on a fundamental level if we're trying to sort of treat this as a serious thing to analyze, because it's one of those situations where like anybody who makes a Street Fighter lore analysis video, yeah, you can do that, but does that actually reflect the Street Fighter experience? If most people are just going to come in and they're just going to play a shit ton of Street Fighter on multiplayer and never touch the story mode, then yeah, you can talk about Street Fighter having all the story mode, but like the criticisms you might have, the issues you might have, all that kind of stuff from a like non-mechanical perspective, that means a lot less when the people aren't even engaging in that. Mm-hmm. Like that's a fundamental problem that's kind of happening because and the thing is you can see that based upon the sort of like, for instance, the achievements people are like getting, like people will like, you know, people might get like some story achievements, but most people don't finish the story mode. People start the story mode and then there's like, nah, I'm gonna go online. Then they get washed by Sonic online.
I mean, same thing with like Call of Duty, right? After probably like Black Ops 2. I don't think a lot of people play the campaign anymore.
Yeah, so like that's a really interesting thing, right? Because like there is so much analysis about Call of Duty on its narrative level. Call of Duty is like this revanchist, patriotic sort of story and all that kind of stuff. And it's like that's true, but how many people actually play the Call of Duty story?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Stories aren't even that long, is it?
No, story's not that long.
No,
but like that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the people. So like when you're saying something like Call of Duty is saying this, Call of Duty is saying that. Yeah, you can say the artifact is doing this, but is it actually communicating that to its primary audience? Yeah. If its primary audience doesn't, and that's the thing about games that a lot of people analyzing games don't understand, which is that games, unlike a lot of other media, they entertain concurrent modes. Yeah, there are some non-interactive media out there that have like different modes, like Blade Runner's got like 7 quadrillion different editions, right? But most media is presumed to have a sort of quote unquote like true or like canonical mode. You watch this particular movie in a particular way. Maybe there are some variations of it, very slight variations of it, but there's oftentimes considered the true or like the real, the way that the director meant it for it to be watched or something. Mm-hmm. But with games, you have all of these different modes. Maybe you've got like, so going back to fighting games, you've got multiplayer, you've got network mode, you've got maybe like a time survival edition, time running edition, arcade mode, story mode. You've got all of these modes. And one of the things here is that like most people don't go through all of those modes. They just don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They gravitate towards 1 or 2 modes and then like that's it.
Yeah.
And like their entire experience of the game is firmly based within that particular kind of like perspective. And here's the thing. You could say that, okay, well maybe because they didn't play all those modes, they shouldn't be talking about the game. Well, that's just like the dog brain structural argument, because like somebody shouldn't have to play every single element of every single of like the game and then get every single achievement or whatever to be able to analyze that game. Because realistically, most people don't play like that.
Yeah.
That's not what happens.
Yeah, it'd be like discounting a criticism of like Resident Evil 5 because they didn't play like the fucking like online multiplayer.
Yeah.
Which is like most people I don't think did. Because it's like Resident Evil games are like narrative games,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Meanwhile, the only fighting game I've ever played to any degree is Smash Brothers Brawl, and I only played it for the Subspace Emissary.
What?
I know, right? I'm a real gamer.
Well, there
I
are
played
some
Call
games.
of Duty for a story mode.
Call of Duty for a story. Whoa. What happens in Call of Duty?
Oh, they declare war or something.
Oh, okay.
I paid $60 for a 10-hour story, and I never touched the game afterwards.
Well, that's like that's the thing, right? Is like you can actually on the topic of like communities, you can actually see that kind of like arise when people say like, "Bro, the story is only like 10 hours," and people are just like, "You buy this game for the multiplayer or whatever."
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, that's true, but how do you actually analyze multiplayer?
Well, it's a similar thing with like World of Warcraft is one of those things where within World of Warcraft itself, there's like a dozen different things to do, and a community for each and every one of them. You have like, people pushing raids, people going after achievements, people like, goblining, farming gold, all this different kind of stuff. And generally, like you have people who focus into only like one of those. They're not doing like everything the game offers, because at this point, nearing 2 decades in, that's not really possible.
Yeah.
That kind of reminds me of like Log Horizon, because Log Horizon is like, an MMO game becomes...
Oh, here we go, Dr. Isekai
coming
in.
Dr. Isekai coming in.
MMO game becomes a real world. So a real world with real, physics and things like that, right? And they get transported to it, and there ends up becoming this thing of like basically unexplored mechanics within the game become all of a sudden a lot more important, because now the game world has to function as a real world that supports all the inhabitants of it, instead of just supporting players who only do a few things.
Yeah.
And then there starts becoming like hierarchies of like people who are stronger in raids and people who aren't, and it's become sort of, and then it's transforming as like a society thing, right?
The first arc is about like food, being able to taste food.
Adjusting the mechanics of food, where if you cook with the menu, it tastes like shit. If you actually make it,
so food,
then it tastes like food.
The food skill, like the cooking skill, was always a skill that higher, like especially high tier players, thought of completely useless, right? Like, there's no reason to put any stat points into the cooking skill. There's no reason to do anything for it. There's no point. right? But then once the world becomes a real world, oh shit, I have to cook every meal.
Yeah.
And yeah, like the pre-selected items in your bag, they taste like dog shit. But if you actually cook a meal, it actually tastes good.
Yeah.
So it becomes it's a very like clear distinction there with like, okay, now the game logic is now real logic, and what differs from that?
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like, and like you said, like with like World of Warcraft, of people like selecting like these things. Well, what became valuable as a sort of post MMO economy, right? Well, as people who were good at cooking.
Yeah.
That suddenly they were a lot more valuable in the post MMO economy than the pre MMO, like they're the pre MMO economy. Like they suddenly became much more valuable within like within the world space, right?
Which, if you want to talk about like MMO like economies, EVE Online is kind of like the most salient example imaginable. Where the way EVE Online's like economy functions is that by and large everything in the game, every item in the game is crafted by other people, sold by other people, and then used by other people. It's it is a functioning economy within itself.
I just want to go on record and say I'm only familiar with TF2's hat economy.
Well, so like the way you function and the way you exist in that economy is that, you can do like a lot of different stuff, but at the end of the day, the game is kind of built around getting money and just having enough money to do other stuff. In order to do that, you generally have to like specialize into something. Like if you're doing like mining or planetary interaction, or you're running like filaments and stuff like that, you do like a specific thing that will give you specific items, and you kind of develop this comparative advantage in the world. So there's like, their entire systems, people played EVE Online for years and years and years and years. Their entire systems people have just totally not engaged with, despite playing the game for thousands upon thousands of hours.
Yeah, but can you trade a ship for a hat?
Yes. Actually, yeah, there are cosmetics. Yeah, you can.
Well, fair enough.
Or there are TF2 hats in EVE Online.
So now, to tie it all back together, since we've been going for a while.
That's what they call cross-marketing.
Oh, shit.
To tie it all back, to bring it all back around. Joe.
Yeah.
Do you like anime?
I don't know. I like some anime.
Okay. Yeah, same. Fair enough.
Yeah, same.
Did we even talk about anime?